Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I'm Dr. Aparna Vatve, faculty of Tata Institute of Social Sciences. This module is about international models for conservation of ecosystems and biodiversity. It is part of the paper Environment and Society. In this module, we will be introduced to the concept of ecosystem services. I will also talk about the ongoing efforts of putting a value on ecosystem services. At the end of the module, we will talk about payment of ecosystem services and REDD, which are programs for financing conservation. We use many things from nature. Water, air, food are all available to us. Soil is also available in large quantities. We do not have to pay any direct price for that, and therefore we often take them for granted. We believe that air and water are going to be freely available to us at all times. Is this truly the case? We need to look carefully at that. Nature creates all these services through very complex processes. Many components of ecosystem and biodiversity are required to make the water pure and to keep the air clean. We never think about it. The soil is made through complex processes and involves millions of microorganisms. We need to appreciate these factors if we have to go on with our wasteful lives. Today, we are paying the price for our neglect of biodiversity and ecosystems. Our rivers, ponds, and lakes are all polluted. In cities like Delhi, the air is too impossible and polluted to breathe in. The price that we pay is of our health. We have medical bills to prove that there is a price to degrading environment. We suffer diseases and many other illnesses because of the loss of ecosystem quality. Let us stop and think, what is the actual price of a glass of water? It costs almost nothing in terms of money. If we go to a shop to buy 1 liter of bottle, it is available at 15 or sometimes 20 rupees. That is nothing but the production cost of bottling the water. Now let us think of the water cycle. Think of all the living and non-living things which are required to run the water cycle. Now imagine the true price, the true value of a glass of water. It is much more than the price that we pay in terms of rupees in a shop. Same is the case of oxygen. It is available to us because there are millions of green plants which are photosynthesizing and releasing oxygen. What will happen if they stop producing oxygen? What if we destroy the forest, the green cover, and all the plants to such an extent that there is not enough oxygen for all of us? Can we ever produce oxygen in factory? This is something that we all need to remember, that we cannot produce what nature gives us, sometimes for free. Nature is the source of many things which are required for our survival. But these services bypass the markets. They cannot be priced, and hence there is no way of conducting their valuation. Many researchers felt that this lack of valuation of nature is a major cause that we neglect it. It leads to degradation of ecosystem and loss of biodiversity. It is the world's poor people and the powerless people who suffer because of the loss of biodiversity. They lose nutrient-rich food. They have no money to pay for clean water. They have no other way but to use polluted waters and bad quality of food. This affects health and well-being. Livelihoods are affected because of degradation of nature. When researchers looked at all this, they felt that if we can demonstrate the value of nature in economic terms, the decision makers will know the true cost of environmental damage. In March 2007, environmental ministers from G8+5 countries met in Germany. They proposed to start the process of actual valuation. They wanted to analyze global economic benefits of biological diversity. The cost of the loss of biodiversity was to be calculated. Cost of failure to take protective measures was to be compared with the cost of effective conservation. In response to this proposal, a global study was jointly initiated in the same year by the German Federal Ministry for Environment and the European Commission. The leader of the study team was Mr. Pawan Sukhdev. He is an international banker. He had experience of the working of Indian economy. He brought together various experts and organizations as a part of an inclusive approach to a groundbreaking study. The study was called The Economics of Ecosystems and Biodiversity, shortened as TEEB. TEEB saw the global problem of biodiversity loss and ecosystem degradation in economic and human welfare terms. It proposed solutions targeted at policymakers and decision makers, businesses, as well as citizens. This study produced 4 key reports. They were targeted at specific end user. In October 2010, these reports were presented at the Convention on Biological Diversity at the 10th Conference of Parties in Nagoya in Japan. The 4 reports addressed fundamental issues in the economic valuation of biodiversity. They categorized ecosystem services and suggested ways of including valuation in national and international policy and decision making. This approach is being tried out in many countries. Brazil, India, Germany, and European Union have taken up their own national studies to look at TEEB. Details of TEEB's approach can be found on their website www.teebweb.org. The TEEB study follows 3 core principles. First principle says that recognizing value in ecosystems, landscapes, and species and other aspects of biodiversity is a feature of all human societies and communities. Sometimes it is sufficient to ensure conservation and sustainable use. In many areas, people have conserved sacred groves as a part of their culture. This has helped to protect natural areas and a large and complex amount of biodiversity. But demonstrating the value in economic terms is often useful for policymakers and others. Businesses can reach decisions after they consider the full costs and benefits of ecosystems. They can also consider the costs that enter the market in the form of private goods, but that are not useful. For example, wetlands help us to control flood. Now calculate the cost of conserving wetlands for this ecosystem service with the cost of building other types of infrastructure to control the flood. The demonstration of an economic value, even when it does not result in a specific measure, is an important tool to achieve efficient use of natural resources. The third core principle says that capturing value involves the introduction of mechanisms that incorporate the values of ecosystem into decision making. This can be done through incentives and price signals. The idea of payment for ecosystem services is introduced here. Reforming environmentally harmful subsidies or introducing tax breaks for conservation has also been tried. There is a very strong link between persistent poverty and the loss of ecosystems and biodiversity. Millennium Development Goals proposed to eradicate poverty and hunger. One of the important goals was improving maternal health, women's status in the society, and reducing child mortality. Economic development was supposed to help us in achieving these. But many of these goals cannot be reached if we continue to neglect and degrade biodiversity. Teague maintains that it is essential to focus on the bottom of the economic pyramid. Win-win situations can target the world's poor while reducing the loss of biodiversity and damage to the ecosystems. For understanding the principles of Teague, it is necessary to define and discuss the ecosystem services. The term ecosystem functions was originally used to refer to the set of ecosystem processes operating within an ecological system, irrespective of whether these services were useful to humans or not. In 1981, Paul and Anne Ehrlich coined the term ecosystem services. This was to capture our understanding of diversity of ecosystem functions. Ecosystem services are formally defined as the benefits that people obtain from ecosystems in the form of goods and services. Some of them are direct gains, like food, water, or medicine. But there are also other indirect gains, such as protection from flood, from other natural disasters, and soil conservation. Natural ecosystems are sinks of all our waste, including carbon. Human development is shaped by environment. There are strong social, cultural, and aesthetic values attached to the nature. The well-being of every human in the world is fundamentally and directly dependent on ecosystem. Ecosystem services are broadly grouped into following categories. First are provisioning services. These are direct benefits obtained from nature. The second are regulating services. These are indirect benefits. These are forms of work by ecosystems which contribute to environment of humans and many other species. Vegetation regulates climate. It also helps in carbon sequestration. The forests control soil erosion and help in water management. These are all examples of regulating services. The third are supporting services. These are indirect benefits that result from natural processes. Pollination is a natural process. Seed dispersal happens by itself in nature. All these are required for agriculture and horticulture that humans depend on. Loss of pollinators leads to heavy financial losses for the crops. Cultural services are indirect benefits that are necessary for various aspects of human culture. Some habitats and species have religious and cultural significance. Millions of people travel every year to different parts of the world just in search of luxury and pleasure. Nature is a source of business as well. Teague report discussed economic valuation methodology. Some of the ecosystem services are considered free and public goods, but there are also financial aspects to this. Many studies worked on the methodologies proposed by Teague. They calculated economic value of the ecosystem services. One study was of global human welfare losses. It recently estimated that between 2 to 4.5 trillion US dollars of natural capital was lost each year if tropical deforestation continued. This is a conservative projection. It does not include all the ecosystem services that come from the forest. Another study was of the global marine fishing industry. Every year, the marine fish catch is almost 100 billion US dollars. It is at a risk of collapse in the next 40 years. Along with this, there is a risk of losing about 35 million jobs. They are jobs mostly done by the artisanal fisher and marginal communities. The health of more than a billion people in the world depends upon fish and other marine products. They use fish as their chief source of animal protein. Hence, loss of fish will have a negative impact on their health. These studies looked at the damages caused by the super cyclone in 1999 and the Indian Ocean tsunami in 2004. What they saw was quite interesting. In areas where mangrove forests were present, they acted as bioshields, and the loss suffered by the villages next to the mangrove forest was much less than areas where the forests were degraded. Mangrove forests saved lives and property. They reduced large-scale damage to the property. Today, large amount of funding is devoted to protection, conservation, and regeneration of mangrove forest on the east coast. This is a measure of disaster reduction. It also provides other livelihood benefits to the local communities. It was suggested that if humans can adopt policies that reward preservation of the ecosystem services, it can encourage what are known as compliance markets. These markets can attach tradable values to the supply or use of these services. So far, we have looked at the basic concept of ecosystem services. Now we will look at payment for ecosystem services, which is actually a financing option. Payment for ecosystem or environmental services are the incentives offered to individuals or communities in exchange of their adopting certain sustainable practices. The most common of these are for land and water management. Common examples of PES programs are where the corporates or society actually pays for maintenance or restoration of a habitat, plantation of trees, funding for organic cultivation, maintaining the river flows, soil and water conservation measures are all examples of payment for ecosystem services. In this case, the society acts as a buyer and the receiver of payment is actually the provider or supplier of ecosystem services. This definition has been well accepted all over the world. Some payment for ecosystem services program involve contracts between consumers and suppliers of the services. Majority of these programs are funded by the government or non-governmental organizations. There are contracts made to ensure that both parties get what they want. In the case of private contracts, the beneficiaries of the ecosystem services are willing to pay the price. Many of the ecosystem services are undervalued or have no financial value. But today, markets are opening up for these services. Some formal markets are voluntary, others are mandated by law. Example of this is carbon emissions. Payment for ecosystem services is mainly an economic incentive in the form of money. It can be treated as finance and can be used for poverty alleviation. There are many opportunities for this. Some of the well-known payment for ecosystem services examples are seen in the world. Perrier Vittel company in France was manufacturing bottled water. In 1990, they had a problem in their bottling plant. The water which was coming from the upland was polluted. This was mainly because of the farming practices. They studied the situation and then had a discussion with the farmers. They realized that it will be cheaper to invest in conserving the farmlands than to build a new filtration plant. Finally, they purchased 600 acres of farmlands and signed contracts with the local farmers. The farmers agreed to do practices which will not allow pollution of soil and water. They also had to improve animal waste management and reforest the sensitive zone. As a result, the company's water was clean. Another of the interesting payment for ecosystem services example is from India itself. Kuhan is a downstream village in Himalaya. Kuhan village built a dam, but very soon it was silted up and the water could not be stored. They looked at this in great details. Winrock International, one organization, helped them with the study. They realized that most of the silt was coming from the upstream village of Ooch. Ooch village had large grazing land, but in that the degradation had happened. Both villages discussed this matter and came to a formal agreement. Ooch village banned grazing for 8 years on its 4-hectare common land. They also planted saplings of fruit and fodder trees on the common land. Kuhan village paid for the saplings. Kuhan village also worked out an agreement that they will sell irrigation water to Ooch as and when required. This worked for some time, but later government built a road around Kuhan. This led to siltation of the dam. Finally, Kuhan villagers had to break the dam wall and put an iron gate. This has stopped the siltation problem, and the contract between the two villages still stands. Another example of payment for ecosystem services is the international program known as REDD. REDD stands for a project reducing emissions from deforestation and forest degradation. This program is conceived to combat climate change. At the same time, it has elements that can be used for eradication of poverty. Tropical deforestation is a major reason for global emissions of carbon. In REDD, it was proposed that tropical nations can be encouraged to plant and take care of their forest, and for this, the developed countries will devise funding mechanisms for support. This program was conceived by United Nations Collaborative Initiative. The objectives were all quite noble, but the implementation of this program can sometimes be very difficult. In this program, it is expected that the local communities, the indigenous people, are all consulted before any management of forest is undertaken. There are economic incentives for people to do this management. It is a financial reward system from developed countries to the developing countries. They are reducing emissions from deforestation, reducing emissions from forest degradation, conservation of forest carbon, sustainable management of forest, and enhancement of forest carbon stocks. The program has been criticized by many people. It is seen that in some areas, people will just try to get the money but continue to degrade the forest. It can be even used for commercial plantation instead of protecting the actual forest. It has been seen in India that forests have large social and cultural benefits. Plantation cannot be alternative to protecting the forest. In the past, the Social Forestry Program of India tried large-scale reforestation, but it had a very negative impact on social as well as ecological aspects. People's attitude towards land changed by the social forestry programs. REDD program also carries the same risk. There is one very good example where REDD program did work. In 2002, agroforester Willie Smits carried out reforestation on 2000 hectares plot of rainforest. In this, he planted several thousand trees which were of use to the local people. The local communities benefited in terms of food as well as economic security. These are some of the programs which have been based on the concept of ecosystem services. In this module, we looked at just some examples of this model. Many of the international agencies are looking at these as mechanisms for future funding for conservation. If you have interest in this topic, you can read about them in the essential readings. You can also take a look at our e-text which accompanies this lecture. I hope you have enjoyed this and hope to see you again. Thank you.